Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from January 3rd. And I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And next on the list is the approval of purchase orders.
I move we approve purchase orders on January 17, 2019 in the amount of $99,590.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. It says this is partially, this is all for the sheriff's department, and who else? I do believe I heard some discussion about it, E911, but is this all within our budget? And it looks like there's a grant that's part of it, a big part of it.
Yes, so these are the
Rugged notebooks.
the notebooks that are in the cruisers and that they use in 911 to connect to CAD.
Right. So
So
an
80,000 will be
80,000 of
paid
it
by
is
the
a grant.
grants.
Okay. All righty.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're down now to accounts payable for January 10th.
I'll move accounts payable for January 10th in the amount of $250,070.51.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Accounts payable for January 17th.
I'll move approval of accounts payable January 17th, 2019, the total amount $369,033.85.
I'll second the motion. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And manual checks for January 11th.
All right, I'll move manual checks for January 11th in the amount of $149,785.51.
I'll second it. Is there discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Manual checks for January 18th.
I'll move approval of manual checks for January 18th, 2019, total amount $160,543.40.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, guys, have it. Approval of payroll for January 10th.
I'll move we approve payable for January 10th in the amount of $267,954.57.
A second. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and we're now down to announcements. Stephanie, do you have any announcements?
The only announcements that I have are that I will be presenting, I believe, for the assessor. I don't think she came back this evening, and also for Michelle's as well.
Okay, very good. And I think we're going to take number 11 off. Josh, is that what you
Just,
wanted to do?
I anticipate a lot of discussion, other issues tonight. Just number 11, the JUI attorneys released a statement probably an hour or two ago, which I hope the commission can make available to the public. So you can read that and may give further help or detail to things and subsequently discuss it at the next meeting.
All right. So we're down to public comment, and I have a list of people here that have signed up to make public comments. And in case you haven't been here before, you're allowed 3 minutes to make public comment, and when your 3 minutes are up, the buzzer will sound, and we'll move right along to the next person. I will announce it as soon as the speaker, the current speaker, has finished, and so listen carefully for your name to be called. The first person to speak is Cindy Brackett, and please identify yourself as you have a seat.
I'm Cindy Brackett, and I've lived in Jefferson County for 35 years. I never speak in public because it's my biggest fear, but I think this is important enough to address you all. I'm asking each of you to vote no to the removal of the remaining JCDA members. Ms. Nolan herself has opposed disbanding the JCDA on numerous occasions. At the Jefferson County Commission meeting of September 13th, she stated she fully supported the JCDA and they were doing their due diligence. She said she would not support removing anyone. September 18th, Spirit of Jefferson, Ms. Nolan again stated she had complete confidence in the JCDA and the members of the board. She said she had no intention of asking anyone to resign, nor would she support disbanding the JCDA. In December 12th, Spirit of Jefferson, she again stated she was looking for people who could be objective and that the new board should not be a one-issue body. Did Ms. Nolan only support the JCDA when it was primarily pro-Rockwell? Was she only opposed to disbanding the JCDA before the obviously pro-Rockwell members resigned? You should all consider her contradictory remarks and vote no on this issue. Clearly, the sole intention is to remove the members who were courageous enough to question the whole process that brought Rockwell here. It is not only unethical, it violates the protection of the whistleblowers. You should not allow yourself to be complicit in the attempt to silence the remaining board members. Thank you.
Hi.
Good to see you again. Tim Ross, live here in the county. Just have three things to touch on. Tuesday night, I got an email that says, hey, if you come to the meeting tonight, you get the interview for the JCDA. And I was one of over the 35 people that got that. And it says, if you can't make it, you don't have to, but the county commission kind of likes to appoint people that they interview. So between the lines is show up or forget about it. Second part of that was that everybody's personal information was on there. Names, phone numbers, addresses. That's not good. When I ran the Weather Service Correspondence Unit, releasing PPI, personal information, was a no-no. It's illegal. I think you should look at your processes, see if something fell through the cracks there. I know it was a bit of a rush, okay? And I also hope that if people could not show up tonight because of agenda item 10 that looks like you want to get rid of the JCDA, that could be a damper too. Like, why would I want to come and get hired and fired in the same night, okay? So if somebody doesn't show up tonight to interview, I hope that you don't hold it against it. And talking about number 10, it looks like an interesting discussion. I look forward. I'd really like to know the motivation and the reasons for it. I don't really think you can make a final decision on a meeting like tonight. I think it'd be a great topic to have a public forum, get public information from your citizens. We get a better idea of what's going on, and just maybe have a dedicated, maybe even a special county commission meeting just dedicated to that. And the idea, you've gotten over 35 applications from really good people, okay, for 3 openings. So I don't really understand why you need more applications when people have met the deadlines, put out great resumes, good applicants, okay? So I don't really know why you need more, but I look forward to finding out, okay? I'm always looking to find out the truth. Third thing, it also fits in, I think it fits into this agenda. Since the board has been dissolved, the JCDA has been over there doing things, I'm sure, all right? And so I think it would be really informative if to have a document from Mr. Deal saying, this is what we've done since the board was dissolved. This is how much money was spent. This is what we've spent it on. These are the contracts we've entered into. These are the leases we've entered into. These are the permits we've applied for. Because I think you need a starting point. Okay, you need to know what's happened since the board dissolved, what's been going over there without a board. I think that would be good information, and I think it would fit in the discussion under number 10. Okay? Thank you for listening for me. I missed you all. See you later.
Jay Mansfield is next.
Okay, I've given everyone a handout of methanol. I got kind of shocked the other day when I was looking through some scientific journals. One of the things that bothers me about the Rockwell plant is the chemicals that are coming out of the stack. They say that they've never had anybody have any trouble with them, but it doesn't make sense that they would know. And so I want everybody to understand what methanol is. And I thought, if you're not vehemently opposed to Rockwell because you didn't understand methanol, then I wanted to take that on and see if I could help you out in understanding it.
Methanol causes blindness and death in very small amounts with children. It goes right through the skin. You can breathe it in and it'll go right into the bloodstream. It doesn't take much, 15 milliliters, about half of this pin will kill you. And that doesn't mean that the stuff coming out of the stack is going to kill people, okay? What it means is that there are toxins that are dangerous and deadly coming out of there in large quantities. Now, they get dispersed, and because they get dispersed, things are safer, okay? I don't want to shock everyone and make everybody think that kids downrange are going to die, okay? But I do know that the wind blows that direction. I do know that it's 104 tons per year. And the duplicating fluid, when you were in high school, when we were in high school, you remember the duplicating fluid that smelled so bad and we'd get the printouts and they'd smell funny? That's methanol, okay? That's what it's going to smell like up there, all over the area. And that's what the kids are going to be breathing at North Jefferson Elementary School. Rockwell's going to put out 267 pounds per day into the air of that stuff, okay? And that's the 40% of the allowable. This is the number that Bjorn Anderson gave me. 40% of the allowable is what they're going to use. So that's 267 pounds per day. Now the problem is, and the reason I'm here, is because as you see in your printout, in the air there, it talks about how long methanol stays in the air. And it says 3 to 30 days, half-life, okay? Now, a half-life is the time it takes to half the concentration in the air. So between 3 and 30 days means that there's going to be at least between 800 and 8,000 pounds of methanol lingering in the air.
Thank you, Mr. Mansky.
Yeah.
Commissioner, just a disclosure, I'm sure it has no effect on this at all, but 10 years ago my son worked for Malcolm Perney. He worked in their Norfolk and Arlington, Virginia offices. I'm sure he had nothing to do, because he wasn't in air pollution, but I just wanted to disclose that.
Thank you.
And I also sent you an email of the actual document.
Thank you. Next up is Nancy Gregory.
Nancy Gregory, 35 years in Jefferson County. The citizens called for disbanding the JCA in the autumn of 2018, which were voiced here also by me. We were left with the impression that the JCC would not and could not do that. Most of the members of the JCDA who were embedded with Rockwell resigned. So why now is the president of JCC now putting disbanding the JCDA on the agenda for the JCC? What is going on with this governing body? After the resignations, the then president of the JCC, Josh Compton, was all about, why aren't more people applying? Then the JCC decided not to do interviews. Then the JCC talked about decreasing the number of positions on the JCDA. President Nolan, what is the point of dissolving the JCDA and having members reapply? So you can have the power to deny people like Lyle Tabb, who blew the whistle on the JCDA? What's going on? Is there something going on behind the scenes? Before assuming conspiracy, it is important to rule out incompetence and ignorance. So please, Patsy Nolan and commissioners, please enlighten me with the truth. Rockwell is a bully company that is unwanted by the majority of Jefferson County citizens for many good reasons. Some states, far smarter than West Virginia, are creating and enforcing their own environmental standards that surpass the weaker EPA and DEP standards. Why are you allowing a company with antiquated technology to come here? Denmark is phasing out fossil fuels with the goal of becoming fossil fuel free. The Rockwell Danes, however, intend to burn coal and frack gas around the clock. We are going backwards. Must stop this. And I will defer my comment about the JUI until I read that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The next person up is Lonnie Gregg.
Good evening. My name's Lonnie Gregg. I've been a Jefferson County resident for 6 years. I'm one of those hated commuters. I moved here. I got a job in D.C. I moved here to live in an area like I grew up in. I grew up in the oil fields of western Nebraska and Colorado and Wyoming. People talk about history here and fracking. I don't know that many people actually know fracking started in this area. First fracking was in 1865 in West Virginia and Pennsylvania. The fracking as we know it today is only a little over 20 years old. We don't know the outcomes. Where I grew up, I have seen people light their water on fire because of the leaks. The main reason I'm here tonight, though, is item number 10. That is an ethical mine trap and an issue because you're going after the people that stayed. Some of them blew the whistle and sent emails to this commission. Then it comes out the attendance issues. Is it retaliation? First look, you bet it is. If I see it that way, I'm not the only one that'll see it that way. So I really question this commission on why and what are the grounds for removing someone. Because if attendance was an issue, that removal should have occurred long before this, not after the fact. After the fact is retaliation, and retaliation against the people who vote for you. That's an issue. You know, and my last thing, when it comes to Rockwell, I grew up in the oil industry. I've seen T-Bone Boone Pickens work a room. I watched him bury Phillips Petroleum. That's why it's now ConocoPhillips. Guess what? When that occurred, when that merger occurred, T. Boone Pickens was long gone. He'd already taken his money and run. I've watched hours of commission meetings, city council meetings, and what I find is you guys were presented information at the last minute expecting a decision. Guess what? Everyone that presented that to you is gone. I think that should raise some questions.
Thank you, sir. Next up
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Ray Bruning. I'm sure I'm going to be the unpopular opinion here. And I had a speech, but I'm just going to speak off the cuff about JCDA. Some people in here seem to think that JCDA is here to pick winners and losers. First thing you got to understand is it's the development authority. Seems like there's a lot of anti-development people that have applied for the development authority. They did their job. Their job is to bring business in, and that's what they did. They didn't pick winners and losers. They courted a company. They didn't know who they were at the beginning, but they did what they needed to do. And, you know, based on the number of applicants and the resumes and seeing their posts on Facebook, I'd recommend that before the county commission make any decision is they look at dissolving. It's better to have a no JCDA than have an anti-JCDA or an anti-development authority. So the county can dissolve the development authority. It doesn't have to have one by state code. So I think before you make decisions and put people on this hot seat, they're good people. I'm not saying they're not, but before you put them on this hot seat and interview them, you decide whether we really even need a development authority at this point. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mike Brittingham.
Good evening. My name is Mike Brittingham. I'm a resident of Charlestown. I wanted to talk to you this evening about propaganda. Propaganda, like we just heard, is basically, it's lies. It's lies to influence your opinion. It's lies to intimidate you. We've heard a lot of it out of Rockwell and the proponents for the Rockwell plant. I wanted to read you some of it from their own mouth. Rockwell posted on their Rockwell Ranson Community Facebook page, the sewer line that will be constructed between the Rockwell plant site and the C-Tub sewer plant will either be constructed cost-free to C-Tub customers with the aid of state financing, or C-Tub customers will pay for it in future years in accordance with the rules of the Public Service Commission. Then the Vice President, Michael Zarin, wrote in the newspaper, "This you hear is only about how to finance the sewer line, not whether to build it." Well, that's not Michael Zarin's decision. It's the West Virginia PSC's decision whether or not they can build it. He says, "We have also said if the City of Charlestown chooses not to accept the zero-interest financing from the state, we would find alternative means to finance the sewer line. That would not be our first choice by any means, as it would raise the rates that all users would have to pay, Rockwell and everyone else. The City of Charlestown does have a choice, a financing model that does not require it to raise rates, or one that does." Then even our local paper got involved. They did an entire op-ed, a full-page op-ed on it. It's called "When Anti-Rockwell Morphs into Anti-Ratepayer." The paper said a decision to reject the bond to finance the construction of a sewer line to the plant would not hurt Rockwell. It would hurt households in our community for years to come because the sewer service will still be provided, just with no zero-interest financing. So the idea there was that if we didn't approve the bond, it would raise the rates of everybody. Well, the JCDA didn't approve the water bond. Rockwell went and had a negotiation with JUI, and they entered into a traditional mainline extension agreement. And now a month later, all of a sudden we hear nobody's rates will go up. We're now paying for this, so the traditional means that every other developer in this county had to abide by, and nobody's will go up. It's propaganda. It's propaganda because they tell you what you want to hear when it suits their needs. Before, when they wanted it approved and thought it could get approved, it would raise the rates of all ratepayers if we didn't. Once it got delayed, they paid for it by traditional means, and now all of a sudden it's not going to raise the ratepayers. Then more propaganda. Mr. Compton noted that you got an email today from Steptoe and Johnson and basically said it's important to note that there will be no current or future rate impact to the customers of Jefferson Utilities as part of the costs associated. Then they further went on to basically insinuate that they were going to sue Josh Compton. Should the unwarranted attacks on Jefferson Utilities and Mr. Snyder continue, please be advised that all legal remedies will be pursued. We've heard this before when they threatened the JCDA by saying they'd be held personally liable if they didn't vote for the water bond. We heard it before when they threatened the county with a $100 million lawsuit. They've threatened the city of Charlestown. Don't let them build this water line right now. The JUI was entered into agreements with the county, with the JCDA. All of the PSC order that allows them to build this sewer line and that was approved by the JCDA relies on the memorandums of understanding that the JCDA was a party to and many other documents. I understand I'm out of time. Please look into it and do all that's within your power to protect this county, and don't let them build this water line.
Good evening, I'm Barbara Fuller. I came to talk about two things. First, I was going through this immense packet, 270 pages, never saw one of those before. And I became concerned about the proposal on number 4 of tearing down the existing post office and putting up a new modern facility. I'm all for making things new and bright, but this area prides itself on history and it prides itself on tourism. Why would we put up a modern fixture in local downtown that is, they spent how much money to renew the building right next door? It seems out of place. And every day I pass the pharmacy down the street and it sticks out. It's ugly. That was that. Please, I think hard and clear about doing any kind of renovations. Renovations, yes, but tearing down and building new modern buildings, ugh. The other thing was in reference to the JDCA. I am one of those who think that they need help. We need more people. We do have a lot of people, 35 people applied, but they all have mirror one thing. We need business. We need smart business. I stand with Mr. Bruning in saying, please dissolve it and bring bring something else back, put their holdings to another entity until we can figure out what exactly we want for Jefferson County.
Next up is Sharon Wilt.
Good evening. I have some pictures to pass around if you all don't mind. What I just handed to Josh there was some sinkholes that's been discovered right here in Jefferson County, right off the bike path. And there's numerous ones right off the bike path, and there's also one that's at North Jefferson Elementary School. The picture that you'll see there, I've marked it, was taken November the 30th. It was reported to the school board that day. December the 1st, they come out and put an orange fence around it. Today, that orange fence is still there. I went to the school board meeting the Monday and told them what I'd found, and of course, they don't talk back, but with a sidebar afterwards with one of the employees, he told me he knew this, it was there, that they had entered into a contract with JUI, but Snyder Environmental was going to make the repairs to the sinkhole that's there. And I also asked about the well. School board, unbeknownst to me and a lot of other people, have already entered into an agreement with JUI to bring water to North Jefferson Elementary School. And I said to the gentleman, and I don't want to call his name, get him into any trouble or anything like that. I said, well, can Fox Lynn get the well? He said, well, no. It's already been given to JUI. Well, come to find out, the well was deeded to JUI for $1. $1. So now, North Jefferson School that had a perfectly good working well is going to be tied into JUI's water, which they've known for a long time. All the meetings that we've been going to out there, they spent $25,000 in money to say, well, let's fight Rockwell, and all this time they've actually signed into an agreement with JUI to bring the water. If they weren't expecting Rockwell to come up and running, they'd have never signed that agreement. Back to those sinkholes, that really disturbs me and bothers me because they're off the bike path. There's a lot of people that go up on that bike path when the weather's permitting with their kids, their dogs, and they're there. I don't know who's responsible, but I did want to bring it to your attention. Number 10, I've been to almost every meeting. I think I've missed one. I was here when it was brought up, well, maybe we should disband the JCDA. It was adamantly said no. These folks are good folks, and council members actually said that. We need to put the JCDA back together, get Jefferson County back on its feet, and run into what we need done. And until that board reconvenes and we've got the working people, then, you know, they're sitting idle. And when you sit idle, the only thing you do is burn gas. So we're just burning up people's time. They want to do it. These people have stuck with you all this time. It's like they wouldn't have stuck here if they didn't want to do it. You've got 35 applicants. Let's choose some of them tonight, and let's go forward with this county and bring in some good business. Thank you.
Thank you. Kirsten Lee is next.
Oh, y'all can have it. I got another set. Thank you. I'm Kirsten Lee. My family has been in Jefferson County since before the Revolutionary War. Tonight, I'm thrilled to be spending my wedding anniversary with you guys. Woohoo! I urge you to all vote no on agenda item number 10. As there are already 39 applications for the 3 open JCDA positions, and as the deadline and approval process has already been extended, the JCC should move to open the seats from the applicants who honored the process and the deadlines, applicants who are not anti-development, but pro-smart development, as laid out by the comprehensive vision. The optics of this are very troubling to us mere mortals on the outside, as I'm sure you can understand. If you vote yes, it appears the County Commission is changing rules and process midway to suit their own agenda against current process and in direct opposition to the will of the people they theoretically represent. If you vote yes, it appears to be a direct attack on fairness and transparency. If you vote yes, it appears to be a direct attack on the JCDA members who voted
who called into question the water bond process, citing logical reasons. A development authority full of yes men with no checks and balances during a highly questionable proceedings is a frightening thing indeed, not only to our county, but to everyone downwind and downstream from us. A county commission that persistently ignores the will of its constituents is a frightening thing as well. I encourage you all to vote no on agenda item number 10. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Mahoney.
Thank you. I'm Lori Maloney, and I'm with Jefferson County Vision. First point, Mr. Bruning and Ms. Fuller would have you believe that we are all anti-business and anti-development, and that's not true. And Ms. Fuller said that we need to pause until we know what we want. Well, you do know what we want for the county. It's called the comprehensive plan and vision. And there's nothing in there that supports this kind of heavy polluting, toxic industry in Jefferson County. It's not just about any business, it's about the right business that's in line with the comprehensive plan. So I'm asking you to vote against the motion, number 10, for all the reasons that have been laid out here tonight. Please respect the process, respect the two members of the JCDA who had sought help from you last fall when they voiced serious and legitimate questions about how the JCDA was operating. We need people with that kind of integrity. I'm asking you to show respect and gratitude towards those 12 people who remained in service to this county when it was difficult, when 12 others felt the need to resign. And you must know how this looks. It looks like you're setting the JCDA up to favor Rockwool. And it looks like you're trying to silence those who raised legitimate concerns about the 5G process. Don't let that happen. The people of Jefferson County are looking to you to lead with integrity. My next point relates to number 10 and as well as the JUI agenda item. The past 7 months of civic activity have shown a lack of transparency in many aspects of our government, and currently we are asking the West Virginia DEP to release information about Rockwool's stormwater construction permit and their current activities. We are met with resistance in what seems like an intentional effort to withhold information. Rockwool's stormwater construction permit expired on November 1st. Rockwool does not have a current permit to do earth-moving activities. Rockwool's stormwater construction permit was reapplied for. Rockwool began the process of putting in that paperwork, and then abruptly on November 1st, they withdrew it for reasons that we don't completely understand. Now, we know that JUI is working on the water line. They have a separate stormwater construction permit, but their permit does not enter into the Rockwool boundaries. So any activity that might happen until Rockwool renews their permit is not allowed on Rockwool's site. I'm mentioning all of this because like I said, we need transparency in our government, and we have been met with resistance with DEP. They are not responding to our requests for information, with requests for FOIAs, and we have approached them multiple times, and as I said today in an email, please show me that I am wrong in my assessment of the DEP's response to our concerns. So I'm going to ask you something similar. Please show us that the concerns of our citizens here tonight are wrong, that you are not intentionally trying to change the rules midway through a process. And we need people like you locally, our commissioners, to be transparent. I urge you to vote against the motion to remove the remaining JCDA members. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Smith.
Hello.
And let me just make a comment. I'm happy that you want to applaud, but please refrain from squealing or screaming because the next person can't hear me call their name. Thank you.
My name is Lee Smith. I'm a Ransom resident, and I'm with Jefferson County Vision. Each of you should have a handout about our position on agenda item number 10. First off, for the record, I would like to answer the question that was asked at a meeting that I did not attend. We do not get paid for what we do. I have not made a penny off of this venture. I guess there are other ways to be paid. I've been paid in new friendships. I've been paid with deeper ties to our community and a renewed love and appreciation for all that we have in Jefferson County. I've also been paid in countless sleepless nights, reading scientific articles about the negative effects of pollution on children. My children, who are 2 and 4 years old now, who I moved here with my husband to raise them in this beautiful place, will attend T.A. Lowry Elementary less than 2 miles from the proposed factory, where they will breathe nearly 300 tons of hazardous air pollutants per year. Whether we stop the plant from being built, or I have to move my family away at a great personal financial loss, I will not let that happen. I will not let them breathe that every year. I am simply a mother trying to protect my children. Regarding agenda item number 10, why now is the question I have. It didn't seem pertinent before, so why now? I feel strongly that the JCDA members that did not resign should be allowed to continue along with the appointees from the large and qualified pool of applicants. My hope is, as a resident, is that the board will come together to bring appropriate business to Jefferson County that enhances our natural beauty and our rich history. JCV is an organization very much for appropriate growth and bringing jobs to Jefferson County. We want a JCDA and local government that does their due diligence before inviting companies to set up shop near our schools and our homes. Thank you.
Nicola Bastian? Nicola?
Good evening. I'm Nicola Bastian. I'm from Millville, and we already have enough pollution, thank you. Noise, dust, and whatever else flies through that air where I live. And interestingly enough, real estate people always show you things on Sunday when the quarries aren't working. So I was unaware, but I love Millville anyway. Were so many intelligent comments, I don't really have anything to add to them. Today I looked in Facebook, and you're missing something when you don't follow those discussions. There are such beautiful people with so much research and such a good spirit that, and one posted today, oh, maybe what we need to do is pray. And then there was, of course, a discussion about prayer. Is it going to help? Is it not? So I thought, well, let me pray where the action is. Then I would combine both. So this is what I was inspired to write today. Great Spirit, higher power, God, Allah, Buddha, Grandmother Earth, by whatever name we know you, lift up our hearts today and strengthen our minds to do what is best for the people in this county, in this state, and for all the people on our beautiful planet. Inspire every one of us to show compassion with each person assembled here. While we may serve different overlords who shape our thinking and actions, deep down, as you know, there's a lot of caring in this room. Help us to bring out the best in each of us. Guide us this evening that we may find a way to work together to solve a problem hanging over us like a dark cloud. And you know it is just the beginning of a storm. Some of us know how the cloud formed. Some of us are diligently researching the ill effects. Some of us are marching. Some of us are conversing with lawgivers and drive many hours to do so. Some of us are warriors for clean air, clean water, healthy soil, and a gentle mountain range to heal the soul. Let us not fall prey to greedy emperors who rule by divide and conquer. Fill us with the deep knowledge that we are all in this boat together. Well, in this windowless basement room. You gave me a vision today.
Thank you.
Amen.
You may submit that in writing if you like. That's Kennedy Mill. James McCauley.
Good evening, Andy McCauley. Thanks for taking the time to listen to us tonight. First, I do I wasn't aware about the renovation change for the, the post office. Bad idea. That's the charm of this town. I can't believe we'd even think about changing the look of this town. And we don't need the extra traffic in town anymore. I'm sure most of you know that we have several blocks backed up at the lights as it is now. That aside, I'm really here about the JCDA disbandment, about the whole Rockwell issue, as you all know and have seen. And I agree with the lady before me that we are all in this together. We all live here, we breathe here, we raise our families. This should not be a we're against you. This is all of us. This is our children, our grandchildren, our very selves if we want to be selfish about it. This is important. This isn't about, oh, I don't want to admit I made a mistake, or oh, I want to be right, or I don't like that factory. No, this is bigger than that. You cannot undo what heavy industry does. Once this beast is loose and the water's polluted and the ground is polluted, you can't say, oh, I'm sorry, let's have a do-over. It doesn't happen like that, guys. We really need to think about this. And this area does need to grow. That's how humans are. We have to have businesses. We have to have ways to make money and take care of our families and build. Get it. We all get it. We are not against developing. We're against this type of industry. Thanks.
Thank you. Dan Casto.
Thank you, Dan Casto. I appreciate what y'all are doing tonight, because I've unfortunately had to sit in your seat and listen to the same people tell the same things again and again and again that aren't based in fact or reality. So a couple things, we elected you to be the adults in the room and to follow the law and to look at facts and reality, not emotion. Councilman Brittingham, who spoke earlier, has talked to me about the grand conspiracy of the Danish embassy and John Reisenweber meeting with the Danish embassy in 2014 to bring Rockwell here. One lady who spoke tonight is now against water towers because it's going to collapse and cause a flood because of our karst geology.
Okay, folks in the background, you have been afforded the same opportunity, and people have been respectful to you. I expect the same thing of every speaker.
So,
I'm sorry. I don't know what to, we're speaking as loudly as we can.
That's all.
Okay.
will I get my time back?
Yes, you have your time.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So, you all were elected. You all have a responsibility. Commissioner Lorenzetti, in your election, you complained repeatedly about the Jefferson County Development Authority and its procedures and pilot agreements. Sir, you were the county's attorney for 8 years. We were following the procedures that were in place while you were the county's attorney. What changed? Commissioner Tabb, when we went and we voted on the pilot agreement, I was the one member of the authority who asked questions about the environmental impact of Rockwell and what it's going to look like. What I was told was Commissioner Tabb went to Mississippi and came back and sung the high praises. So it's all okay, Dan. What changed? Other than a group of very loud individuals armed without any realistic facts, all their claims have been disproved, got very, very loud. So a lot of folks tonight have spoke about the evil JCDA and all it's been doing. JCDA, limited power. You know who approves the pilot agreements? Not the JCDA, this commission. Disbanding the JCDA is not functioning right now. It's sad. I don't know that anything would really change if you disbanded it. I presume the development group would just work directly for you. I think it's a waste. I just ask you all to please be the adults in the room and follow the law. And, this talk about JUI tonight, I don't know, are you going to go tell JUI to stop, building the water line? Do you have the power to do that? Commissioner Compton, do you have the power? Commissioner Nolan? No. Why is it even on the agenda is beyond me. Why don't you guys get back to doing what you're supposed to do, run the county, quit increasing our taxes, and let businesses grow unfettered by unnecessary regulation and government meddling. Thank you.
Next up is Colin Stein.
I saw you at the last commission meeting. I am a taxpayer in Jefferson County. My grandfather bought our family's first farm in 1929. I'm the kind of taxpayer that you want. I pay more taxes than what I receive in services. The last commission meeting, I listened to you all say we need to grow the revenue, add more jobs, but that's only half the equation. More jobs means more people. More people means more expenses. Rockwell jobs are net losers. Let me say that again. Rockwell jobs cost the county money. They produce less revenue than the cost of the people associated with the jobs. Let's do the math. A Rockwell job at $15 an hour, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year will provide an income of $31,200. The income tax on that job is $1,180. That's half the equation. The other half of the equation is that every job represents 4 persons. The county spends $428 per person in its annual budget. If that job represents 4 persons, then at each Rockwell job represents a net loss of $528. That's the best case scenario. It assumes that Rockwell will pay full days' wages for holidays, vacations, sick days. It assumes the taxpayer will not take any deductions. It assumes the state of West Virginia will return the entire income tax revenue to the county. Again, Rockwell jobs will cost the other county taxpayers, like myself, money. If the commission wants to grow revenue, the JCDA needs to figure out how to increase the yield of soybeans for all the farmers in the county. That produces more taxable dollars and does not add any additional costs. Finally, let's define what a good job is. Good jobs come with health and retirement benefits and will increase the net revenue. The net revenue will only grow when the taxable income is greater than $42,500. That means the jobs need to pay in excess of $60,000 a year. John Doyle was right that instead of pursuing industrial jobs, the JCDA should be touting the low taxes, inexpensive housing, clean air, short commute times, and try to recruit office-based businesses in the DC area that are going to be pushed out by the Amazon's arrival. Thank you.
Thank you. Anastasia Cass.
The opportunity previously presented itself to disband the JCDA, and instead a proposal was made to commend their ongoing endeavors. While I can't say that I agree with the choice to commend them at the time, I would ask that you vote against further action to remove the existing members who remain committed without prior conflict. It would be beneficial also to have the knowledgeable members of the board to aid in the transition of current newly appointed members. One thing as far as the JUI water line to Rockwell, why would you have an interest on that? Because the JCDA entered into an agreement to finance it, and you oversee the JCDA. So I believe that would make it your business. Councilman Brittingham started to touch upon the PSC's order, the Emergency Certificate of Convenience. I myself question JUI's usage of that PSC order moving forward. It was granted reliant on the JCDA closing the bond. That is not happening at this point. That is the reason, some of the reasons, because of the financing and the MOU that was in place, that certificate was granted. So what do we do at this point in regards to that? These are the people of your community. We're human, we have emotions, yes. I spent a lot of time myself researching, and I spread a lot of facts that I found about this company that I never knew about before. I wasn't very involved before, but you see, you brought the community together, which is a good thing. There are some people who like to throw out the buzzwords that get propagated in the mainstream media. If anybody pays attention to the news outside of our community, you'll hear some of those things like mob and whiny liberals, and we're anti-job and anti-growth. That's not what we are. That's not what we're saying that we are. You don't hear those comments coming out of our mouths. You hear what what we would like to see, something that we stick to the comprehensive plans. I've looked through past meeting minutes, and when people are coming before the Planning Commission, it says, is this in agreement with our comprehensive plan? But then when it comes to Rockwell, all of a sudden, it's not law, or we don't need to be held accountable to it. But yeah, we've done that so many times in the past. There's so many questions why that need to be addressed. We want to work together. It's not this side versus you or against them. We need to come together as a community and solve these problems. We haven't been making much progress together, but it's about time that we start. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is David Levine. I've lived in Shepherdstown, West Virginia for about 23 years or so. I'm very grateful that we just had a demonstration of the extraordinary contempt that some public officials in this county and former public officials have for their fellow citizens. I first learned about the whole Rockwell controversy from Dan Casto's Facebook feed when he did a post about liberal environmentalists causing problems. I hadn't even heard about this until all of a sudden liberal environmentalists were causing problems. So I dug in, and he said that this is, he sees all of this as noise. It's sort of like that Seinfeld episode when Elaine blah, 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 sex, and then blah, blah, blah. So it's clear that this is what his fellow citizens sound like to him when we do research and Tim Ross finds out that the DEP permit is incredibly flawed. When Jay Mansfield looks at the real catastrophic potential of school children in that close proximity, that comes across as blah, blah, blah. Noise. Ray Brunig, who is currently on the Planning Commission, has said that the people who are showing up here are anti-growth. Over and over and over, this group has said we are not anti-growth. We want jobs. We want our kids to stay here. We want our kids to be able to come back here if they've moved away. We want our grandkids here. This is not about white-collar jobs versus blue-collar jobs. We want lots of good jobs, all kinds, so that we can stay here and people can move here. The people I've met have been divided over and over. Sharon, who spoke, lives in Fox Glen. She grew up in Shenandoah Junction. She is here because she fears for her community and her concerns. Ray complains about newcomers, and former Commissioner Peter Inosco has suggested that people should leave. You really have to understand that this is a group that is passionate about the county. We need 12 JCDA board members because we believe that that organization should have oversight and proper governance. It doesn't have it right now. You have 8 members, I believe. All you need to do is appoint 4 more for it to be a functioning body. There should not be a litmus test like it's a Supreme Court appointment. Thank you.
Diane Blues.
I don't think she heard you.
Diane Bluest.
My name is Diane Bluest. I live in the Shepherdstown district. Thank you for letting us talk to you this evening. I'm here to ask you to vote against the proposal to remove the remaining JCDA board members. A vote for such an action is really a slap in the face of your constituents. Last November, we voted to get rid of one of the staunchest Rockwell supporters on the commission, replacing him with Commissioner Lorenzetti, who opposes Rockwell. We sent representatives to Charlestown who favor sustainable and environmentally sound growth over heavy industry. I'd like to remind you all that unfettered growth has a name. It's called cancer. While we had no vote or voice regarding the JCDA board members, I can assure you that most of us who oppose bringing heavy industry to the county support the remaining JCDA members who had the courage to speak out against potential wrongdoing in the waterline contracting process. Two of the members who would be removed by Commissioner Nolan's proposal reached out to you with their concerns. Rather than address their concerns, the previous commission simply gave the JCDA a pat on the back. That was shocking then, and it's still shocking today. If you remove board members who cried foul, you will rightly be accused of doing business as usual. Lack of transparency, lack of commitment to your constituents, lack of concern for the environment. You will be known as commissioners who disregarded warnings about irregularities in contracting when those were called to your attention. The JCDA needs new blood and reform. It needs to be responsive to the community, not foreign corporate interests. It needs to look out for the health and well-being of our school children and the elderly, not the bottom line of heavy industry. Allowing those who did not resign last fall to remain and help reconstitute a new JCDA makes sense. Those folks were already thinking of their community. Lastly, removing sitting JCDA members and extending the application period yet again just reeks of cronyism. You already extended the application period by over a month. Over 30 people have applied for the 3 open citizen positions, and several have applied for the labor position. Last fall, we saw you unanimously select an applicant for the labor position who many felt was the least qualified among the candidates. You selected the spouse of one of the most outspoken Rockwell proponents in the county to serve on the embattled JCDA. Is it any wonder you lost our trust? You can gain it back by listening to us and working with us to support sustainable and resilient economic activity in Jefferson County. Please, I would suggest that you have a workshop to address the future mission of the JCDA. We are not anti-growth. We are against heavy polluting industry. Thank you.
Sarah? Oh, there she is. Sarah, is that okay? I'm used to seeing Thompson on here.
What does it say, Copa de Nieve?
Yes. Who's that?
That means snowflake. You didn't know?
I didn't know.
It's one of those things that keep calling you, calling you that enough, you go, okay, I'm going to claim that.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
Thank
and,
you.
And there's representative outside right now. I'm actually here representing Jan Hafer. I was casually reading a book and I got an email from her. So it says, Dear, I am Sarah Thompson, not Sarah Copa de Nieve. I live here in Charlestown. I've been here since 2015. I'm an implant from a replant or some kind of plant from Austin, Texas. Dear Commissioners, I am unable to attend tonight's JCC meeting, but I am requesting in the strongest terms that this question regarding the dissolution of the JCDA and appointing all future members be struck from the agenda, if at all possible. If it is not possible, then I want to express my disappointment that President Nolan would think that this is an honorable tactic to achieve a membership of the JCDA that reflects her pro-heavy industry attitude regarding economic development in our country, in our county. I find it shocking that she would undercut the established process for appointing new members to the JCDA that your constituents trusted and have followed. Changing the rules at the last minute appears to be a desperate and cynical manipulation of her ability to determine her desired outcome. If the agenda item cannot be removed, then I urge Commissioners Hudson, Tabb, Compton, and Laura Zeta to vote no. Sincerely, Jan Hafer.
Thank you. You didn't hear me? I wonder why. Ruth Hatcher?
Good evening again.
Good evening.
And I hope it stops snowing before we get out there. Okay. I think I'm going to change what I'm going to say. I did go to Charleston last week, and it was a good trip. I got to meet, by accident, the governor's chief of staff. And we got to give him about 5 minutes of our thoughts about what's going on here. So I hope he takes that under his hat, which I'm sure he's heard. Actually, he saw my sister's hat that said, "Say no to Rockwell," and he said, "I know where you're from." So I told her, keep wearing that hat. So it was very nice of him to introduce himself and to listen to us. The fact is, a polluter, this is the definition, environment, a person or organization that puts harmful substances or waste into the air, water, causing damage to the environment. Rockwell is a global polluter, known to be. That is a fact around the world, about 28 different countries. It is a fact that if you gave poison to a child, you would be arrested, correct? So to me, it's not okay to poison us slowly over time, because it will affect us over time. Fact, down in Mississippi, we look at the EPA TRI report, the Toxics Release Inventory report, and that's a fact, by the way. We don't want that pollution here. That is not a lie, that report. You can't lie. That's about 500,000 pounds per year over 10 years. That's about 5 million pounds over 10 years. That would destroy this area, and also Loudoun County. It is the fact that the toxic emissions are known carcinogens. That's a fact. There's not fairy dust coming out there. Those are known carcinogens, and also suspected others. I think that the oath for this commission and for the JCDA, there should be a little sentence at it, do no harm. Doctors take the oath to do no harm, and you should also have that added. Do no harm to us, please. And the reason I became involved was the closeness to the schools and the fact of that EPA TRI report. Those are facts. And it's not, if you can't speak up for a child, then you're a sad person. You do not do this to any child, but especially to children who are already disadvantaged. And our Jefferson County teachers, are they going to get hazard pay, by the way, for working near the plant? Should it come? Are they? No, really. Are they going to get hazard pay? Or is there extra counseling for the students? I think we should start a group just like MAD and SAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving and Students Against Drunk Driving. I think we should have Moms Against Pollution. And we should have Students Against Pollution. And we can start this right here in this county.
Thank you. Tom Adsett is next. Tom Adsett, is he not here? Oh, you're not going to speak? Okay. Terry Fielmeyer?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Terry Fielmeyer. I'm from Harper's Ferry, and I just got a couple of notes and things that I had gotten.
Oh, please speak into the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Some notes that I made during the previous speeches. Number one, everybody in the room is not a flaming environmentalist or progressive or anything else. I'm just a retired mechanical engineer, a ultra-conservative, and I belong to the NRA. I don't have anything with me tonight. The previous gentleman had asked what had changed since you all visited the plant down in Mississippi. Well, a couple of things. Number one, the rest of the world learned what they were putting out. Before, all we knew was they were going to have 150 jobs. All right? The second thing is they turned the plant back on. Now, let me say that if you're going to go down and visit a plant, do it unannounced. You know, naturally, when they shut it down for you to come there, it's clean. There's nothing coming out of the stacks. It looks beautiful. Yeah, they turn it back on, and you're back in the bag again. Given what has come before, I certainly wouldn't disband the JCDA or reappoint those folks. They have shown complete disregard for public input in the past, but it makes no sense to relieve all duties of the people that are still left in it. Number one, you lose all continuity. The people, if you just disband it, you got to start from scratch. Somebody's got to know what's happening, and you're going to lose the time that it takes for them to come up to speed if you have everybody gone. If you want to do something, appoint them in groups of like 2 or 3 at a time, so that it may take a while, but you've always got the commission there, the Development Association, and you don't lose the continuity with the previous ones. The post office, don't remove it. Repurpose the building and locate it somewhere else, close to where it is now. I would urge you all to vote no on item 10. Thank you.
That's all that I have. Has anyone else signed up? I'm good. Thank you. Todd Milliron?
Good evening. I'm Todd Milliron, Jefferson County resident. I'd just like to approach the commission tonight and just let you know some of the fruits of your labor. I was able to attend a Charlestown Utility Board meeting this past week before. And one of the things I realized during the meeting is a developer approached the CTUB group and wanted to propose some surface and some subsurface infrastructure to put in place for a future development. What was mentioned across the table to one another was, a year ago we couldn't have done this because it would have had to also gone to the PSD, Public Service District, because lines in that area were also connected with the PSD, with the pump stations. So the fruit of your labor of seeing foresight to consolidate and / acquisition of the PSD by Charlestown was appreciated by at least by one developer and a number of members from CTUB. Now, I bring that to your attention tonight because I also understand that later tonight you're going to be considering a process in which you're going to identify a voting member to go to CTUB as part of the acquisition agreement. And I look forward to that happening. I believe that's still on the agenda for tonight, if I'm following that correctly. Maybe not the actual, but the process in place for thereof. I also want to mention, as part of that agreement also was to provide a county liaison to CTUB. So hopefully you don't lose sight of that as well. So there should be 2 members coming from the county that will go to CTUB as representatives for the previous PSD members. Thank you.
David Tabb?
David Tabb, Jefferson County resident. I too take my hat off to some of the people that make the prayers. I do not wear the cloth on my sleeve, but I believe there is a higher power, and it's not me, regardless of what some people have thanked me so much for. But I thank them as well. We can be better than this. We should be better than this. I just joined the Kiwanis here a couple months ago. That's for the kids. I was asked to do some things, and I have done much, and I will do a whole lot more. We're putting an outdoor classroom at the North Jefferson Elementary School. And you're going to let the pollution come down on top of them. to have the luxury of an outdoor classroom that possibly the rest of the United States may use it as an example to teach our kids nature. Later on this evening, you'll have the ability to interview some people for the Jefferson County Development Authority. I placed today at the Public Service Commission a request to review the document for the extension of the water line that the Jefferson County Development Authority is to own, but yet we have a private company that has taken it upon themselves to start digging and put it in against the Public Service Commission order that if anything changed on it, that it had to come back to them. That request was filed today. I'm not on the board. I've presented my application that if you would like me to serve, I will. That was the guy above. He blinked. So with that, on the board or off the board, I will be present. I will look at their information, and I will not be silent. Y'all have a nice day.
Alana Flynn. Alana Flynn.
Alana Flynn.
Is she not here? All right. Paul Stork.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Sorry I don't have any prepared notes tonight. Just kind of did not intend to speak, but I just wanted to make some thoughts, 3 thoughts. I moved my family here about 4 years ago after serving active duty Air Force for 12 years. We chose to live here because we fell in love with the area as soon as we got here. I'm something of a rarity in the room. I have 2 children that will be going to Jefferson Elementary. We found out about Rockwool when we saw the sign go up. My house is 2.5 miles from that plant. I'm not going to be able to sell it if I want to move. You're going to walk out my front door, and you're going to see smokestacks. 210-foot tall smokestacks. Thanks. With regards to item number 10, I just found out about it, I think, yesterday when my wife told me. I've been doing some thinking. In the military, one thing we always stress is having corps of veterans. My last combat squadron, we had insane turnover. I was away from them for 6 months. I came back and recognized nobody. But we always had a group of veterans that knew what was going on. You guys are proposing to get rid of that group. You're going to have to start all over again. Nothing will get done for months. Nothing. I promise you that. As far as some of the members of the audience believe, not all of us are flaming liberals. Not all of us are snowflakes or easily disrupted. I'm a registered Republican. I'm conservative, fairly conservative. But I oppose this plant. I oppose these moves because it's the right thing to do. Because my children will be going to that school. I ask you all to do the right thing. Think responsibly. Think about our future, our long-term continuity, as well as where you want to go. What's your plan for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What is it? I specialize in mission planning. The first thing we always ask is, what is the commander's intent? Where do we want to be when the smoke clears and the dust settles? What do we want this to look like? You guys are the county commissioners. It's your job to figure this out and work with us to find that vision. So, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to the rest of the next item on the agenda. Angie Banks is not here, and I think Stephanie's going to take care of that. Item number 1 for those that are following along.
So this is a split. This is a split ticket, number 308871, in the Harpers Ferry District for tax year 2018. Eric Simpson will receive the Volkswagen Beetle year 2008 for an assessed value of $2,200, taxes due $51.70. Sonia Simpson will receive the Honda Odyssey, $3,400 assessed value, total taxes $79.89. The 2009 Honda Odyssey, total assessed value $4,500, $105.73 of taxes due. And the 2006 Ford Mustang, total assessed value of $2,500 with a total of taxes due of $48.74.
I move we approve the split ticket number 308871 as presented by County Administrator.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, next.
And the next one's fine too. This is a new policy, an update to our financial policy 305. Okay, it works now, sorry. And the reason we are presenting this to you is that we are moving forward with our new accounts payable system. So as we move into that, we're going to have to update some of our procedures to account for the new process in that system. This system will have a series of electronic approvals. It will decentralize the invoice process where invoices will be inputted into the department level. So for example, in the county commission department, Jessica or Dawn would put in the invoice. They would then send it to me for approval. I would then send it, if I approved it, I would then send it to the county clerk for approval. Then the county clerk would send it to the county commissioners, and eventually you won't be approving the paper, you'll be approving it electronically. I mean, you'll get all the documentation, but it'll be electronic. So this is the new system. One important change that I want to make you aware of is that with the new system, we'll be printing out the checks on paper with an electronic signature key, which will be locked up. And only those people permitted under the policy will have access to the signature key. So I wanted to let you know that we're getting rid of the manual signatures, that it will all be the electronic signature key. So I'm super, I'm really excited about this. It will totally change the way we do business. I'm not saying there won't be bumps in the road, but it will make us much more transparent. And I believe with the series of electronic approvals, it actually has more safeguards in that you can see it go up the line and who's approving. So.
Whose signature electronically be on it? President of the commission?
It's the president of the commission, the sheriff, and the county clerk.
I actually saw the county clerk today. She seemed to be enthused about this.
Yes.
Has anybody talked to the sheriff, make sure he?
Yes, this policy was written with me, Michelle Gordon, the sheriff, and the county clerk, who are all the impacted parties where the procedure would be changed.
They want to make sure they get something right.
Yeah, I mean, their names are on the policy. So if you look, it says that we were all involved in amending the policy. So we won't be able to use it this year for budget, though Michelle will be able to input the data. But next year for budget, all of the departments will be putting their budget into the Tyler system instead of the spreadsheets. And we will be able to look at our budget expenditures real time. So if I wanted to look, we won't be,
It's not waiting till the end of the month. Right.
Yeah.
If I wanted to look today to see how much money I have in any given line item, I can see it right there real time. And it'll also make it more accessible to the public. So.
I have to get the county to the 21st century now.
How about that? That's awesome. Very good. All right.
Thank you to Michelle, who's really spearheaded this project.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions for Stephanie?
I move we approve the financial policy 305, purchase order and invoice policy as revised 12/10/18.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Well, I think we should put the date as today, 1/17/19, instead of backdate it.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
And
With
the
that change, yeah, with that change, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
And you know me, I'm the nitpicker. Just on the first line of the thing, it says it needed to be revised, needs, financial policy 305 needs to be revised.
Okay.
That doesn't make any difference. It's not an official document.
Accurate grammar.
Okay, thank you. Did you get that, Jessica? You got the change? All right, next up, item number 3, Steve Allen is here. He's the Director of Jefferson County Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and he has a contract for us to approve this evening.
As a matter of fact, I do. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for seeing me this evening. You have before you, and I have the original document, and once we go over it and answer any questions that you may have, we have that information in front of you. As you know, the first item dealing with the hazard mitigation planning, well, number one, it was grant funded, but it was released last February, so it's been a year-long process in getting this all done. What should have been done in September because of a lot of problems at the state level, it has finally been approved. It was approved by the regional FEMA office the last part of November. Of course, December was quite a month to get through, so this has been the first opportunity we've had to appear before you. The plan is an update of the 2013 plan. I think you have some of that information in regards to the resolution and so forth. And we have to do this every 5 years in order for Jefferson County to be eligible. This is not the big thing. The biggest point I want to make is to be prepared and do as much due diligence as we can to minimize the hazards that we have within Jefferson County. So this plan that we have for all the different types of hazards, natural and man-made, can be well handled. But one of the carrots that they have is if we don't have a hazard mitigation plan, we're not eligible for FEMA assistance when we do have declared disasters. So it's really important to have this document put together, both for our own safety, but also to be able to weather the storm, no pun intended. With that being said, do you all have any questions that I can answer at this time for this particular item?
I move to approve the contract with JH Consulting LLC in the amount of $3,750 for certain annexes to be updated in the Jefferson County EOP.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next is approval of resolution to accept the update of the 2018 Jefferson County Multi-Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Actually, that's the one you
what
just
this
did.
is.
Yes, that's what that is.
Okay.
The second item, I'm sorry, I didn't look at the agenda to see which one was which.
Oh, that's all right.
Our emergency operations plan, as you know, every year, was there a question, Ms. Tabb?
Well,
Procedurally, did we motion the wrong thing?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think we moved the wrong thing, so
Yeah.
we're going to have to go back and,
Okay.
yeah, we're going to have to
We
go
spent
back
the
and-
money before we approved the
We
plan.
did, yeah, so now we're going to have to go back and fix it.
Rescind my motion?
You don't need to, I don't know that you need to.
Do anything?
Assuming your vote yes after you vote, I don't think it's
Okay,
fine.
yeah, we'll just go ahead and do the second one.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
make the second motion to approve the resolution to accept the update of the 2018 Jefferson County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan, previously adopted in 2002, 2008, and 2013.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Okay, now we'll deal with the EOP, the update of our EOP. As you know, we're required annually to update the emergency operations plan, different portions of it. There are many documents within our emergency operations plan, or many different annexes within it. This year there are about 5 or 6 more, as you see listed on the document. We'll be updating our communications emergency services function, also updating the public works. One new one now that we'll be putting together is emergency services function 11, which is dealing with agriculture and natural resources and what to do with emergencies that of course, we have so much agriculture within Jefferson County that we want to make sure that it specifically is addressed within the community.
So can you give me some examples? Is this like silos and things like that, or manure pits, or is it more field accidents? Or?
Actually, it deals with drought, with what we would do for droughts and things of that nature, dealing with agriculture, dealing with providing assistance. Who is the lead agency that would assist us in that? It may be soil conservation, it may be other agencies we have nearby. Right.
Okay.
We'll also be updating what's called the public safety emergency service function, which is law enforcement. So we'll have a lot of input from local law enforcement and the sheriff in that as well. We also, of course, with all of the rain that we had this past year, and I hope it doesn't continue into 2019, although we've got a good start with snow right now. The dam failure incident annex is one we will be dealing with and making sure. I know you're familiar with our dam up in Shenandoah and things of that nature, as well as our dam on the Shenandoah River in the Millville, or actually down or upstream a little bit from Millville, but that one. And last but not least, our terrorism annex will be updated this year to come into line with what needs to be done, because from 2013 on, there have been a lot of changes within the world, so we'll be dealing with that one. So we have once again asked JH Consulting to assist us. They have done all of our plans in the past, and I think if we change boats midstream, it could cause a lot of problems with the fit together of our different plans, and that's why at the amount that the plan is, or the cost is, I don't know of any agency that we would be able to contract with to get these prices.
You know, I've participated in some of the workshops for when you update different plans, and I don't know how many meetings you have for each section that we have to work on, but they're very good at getting everyone to the table and soliciting input and having it come out in a document that's readable and makes sense, and actually really does update it. That's not very expensive for, I know, the amount of man hours that go into it.
It's custom. You're exactly right. It deals with Jefferson County problems. It's not a boilerplate document that a lot of agencies may throw together and yeah, we need to get this done. They actually come out and do a lot of that work face on. So it's a pretty good company to deal with that we have dealt with before. Are there any questions dealing with the emergency operations plan? And everything was good with that. What I submitted to you?
Yes, Commissioners, I reviewed both the resolution and the contract, and I found it to be acceptable.
Very good. Okay, well, we don't need a motion because we already approved it. So. But thank you for the explanation.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have your signed document here.
Okay, great. And I have one more for you to sign with the EOP.
Yep.
If I could take a couple of seconds out of your time to let you know on our weather, what's going on. We can expect from the National Weather Service, please don't shoot the messenger. And you know you got a 50-50 chance on it actually coming to fruition, whichever way you want it. But tonight's storm, Up until about 7 or 8 o'clock, we could have expected, and I haven't been outside to look. Those of you that are outside can tell me if it happened or not. They were expecting about a half an inch between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, and then after 7 o'clock to about 6 or 7 in the morning, maybe another inch. So maybe an inch and a half to 2 inches we might receive overnight. And even more important, I think a lot of people were really antsy in regards to the Saturday storm. They are still saying that in between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Saturday, we could get 2 to 3 inches maybe. Okay. And however, I might add that it could turn to ice overnight. So let's hope that not a lot of people are on the roads overnight with the ice, but the snow should be 2 to 3. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
Commissioner,
Next, oh.
we probably need to take a break so that we can upload the file. And also, I've been informed that there are several Wi-Fi hotspots. I think they're hotspots, but it's interfering with our Wi-Fi and our ability to upload the meeting. So if people who are responsible for those could remove some of them, it would help us, because we have a presenter who's going to need to use the Wi-Fi, and we're having difficulty streaming the video because of it.
All right.
So are you going to recess while everything gets set up?
Yeah, we can take that. Is that okay with everybody? Go ahead and take a break while everything is set up, and then we'll resume in just a couple minutes.